Hello everyone! Today, this is not a review, this is just a side-by-side comparison. We've seen several videos on the channel on the Foxeer Toothless 2 Nano, and Foxeer has seen those and they decided, do you want to try the Cat 2? I believe this is the Cat 2, it just says Cat on the back, but let's get the box. Yeah, Cat 2. And of course the Toothless 2 Nano. So I'm not going to go into the specs or anything of that nature. Obviously we're looking at two grossly different sized cameras. Let me get my camera to focus on those. We have much bigger lens on the Cat 2 and we're going to have weight differences. We've actually got, cabling and connector differences as well. So there's many different differences, but what we're going to do is we're just going to see how they compare. And this is fairly interesting because it's Foxeer versus Foxeer. So there shouldn't be much controversy. There'll be several moments as we're looking at this footage where I'll pause it, and you may hear my mouse click, because that's how I pause the video as I'm walking through it. And notice the Cat 2, I'm seeing lines in that, and I actually switched it around and put it into a quad, and I saw, when I went outside in the dark, I saw those lines consistently. So I don't know if that is just my camera or if others have seen that. And I think this has been out a while, and some of you may have a Cat 2 camera. If you can verify that, that would be outstanding, and then let us know down in the comments section. This area over here is really, really dark. I say that all the time, and I think I use 3 reelies on that all the time. So those trash bins are well hidden away at the nighttime view. Again, a reminder, no street lights in my neighborhood, only house lights. It's generally fairly dark anywhere in the neighborhood, but you can see quite well in both circumstances. And those clouds up there, I really like the look of those clouds in the night sky. I'm going to pause it right here when I set this down. And I think this is fairly interesting because if you look at the image quality, I see the Cat 2 outperforms the Toothless 2 Nano, especially when you look at the bush. It just looks very, very natural. And these cameras are within about 2 to 3 inches on the board that I've got them mounted to walking around. And also the light, it feels like the light is less, I don't know what that term would be, but it's just blown out less. So you have the center part of the light that's bright, and then it kind of blows out from there, and you get that kind of maybe a halo effect, if that's an appropriate term. So I think the Cat 2 outperforms the Toothless 2. And also look at the cement. That cement is actually shiny. There's an overlay coating to that dyed cement that they put on that, and it is shiny. It's actually kind of slick. It was probably a bad choice for us to put in front of our house where people come and go, especially during the winter months. But I thought that was pretty interesting, and I wanted to draw your attention to it rather than just acting like it's nonchalant and just move on. But if you look in the distance past the porch, see the gap between, if you look on the right, you can see the gap, you can see the sky between the tree. It's not very clear, but there is a difference once you start to look in the distance. But also if you look at the further away and you look at my neighbor's house, I think it's much more clear as far as making out all those lines at the house versus on the Toothless 2 Nano. It's a little bit blurry. But I would say outside of this shot, generally speaking, the Toothless 2 holds its color better when we're looking around the neighborhood in the nighttime footage. I don't want to make this video tremendously long, so I'm trying to go quickly through this, but we've got, our typical tests, and some people will want to see it. I don't suspect it'll be a hugely popular video, but I think people who do want to see it want to see little things, because if you notice the difference from one camera to the next, you're going to notice big differences in every camera, I would suspect. Here's another shot that will pause, and also notice the field of view difference. I think it's easier to see the field of view when we do the daylight stuff, but you might be able to tell the field of view difference here as well. And now in this case, the light gets blown out on my neighbor's house more in the Cat 2 than it does the Toothless 2. So that's interesting. At least, hopefully, you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. I'm seeing huge, I don't know if you're calling them halos or blown out or whatever the case, huge light arrays or fixtures, whereas it's just not that way in the Toothless 2. And I thought this was an interesting shot because it's in the shadow of the light of the house, but we do still have light from the other parts of the neighborhood. Pick the board back up and we'll walk around the neighborhood. I think I go over to our neighbor's house over here where Gary and Diane live. Gary and Diane have 3 children, just like we do, 2 girls and a boy. They are all now married and have families of their own, so I'm feeling, especially because I knew them when they were in high school and middle school, I'm feeling a little bit older whenever they come back for holidays and whatnot with their own family. So that's time. Time keeps moving. Doesn't wait for no one. Just trying to fill some dead air here so you can take in the image. And I'll draw your attention to, as we scan, the color of the Toothless 2 tends to hold versus the Cat 2 tends to go more black and white or much more reduced color. And maybe that's how it keeps its clarity. I don't know the camera technology that they use inside these sensors and how they work. I just want to draw out the differences that I'm noticing as we review this stuff. I walk towards this car to see how long it takes until we can tell that it's a red car. I don't know why I thought to do this, but I'm just telling you what I'm doing at this point. And you can tell with the Cat 2, you really can't tell it's red. But with the Toothless 2, you can. So I give the Toothless 2 kind of the edge in nighttime color, but I think the clarity in many circumstances on the Cat 2 is better. In some cases, it's much, much better. In other cases, it's just marginally better or even with the Toothless 2. But again, this isn't an even comparison by any stretch. You know, we've got a tiny little camera versus a camera that's much larger with a much larger lens on it, so it can take in a lot more light. We scan around the neighborhood, taking our time so you can see anything that you might see. Taking our time so that you can grade the camera to its fullest extent in the nighttime view. And this is dark night. This isn't like dusk or sundown or anything like that. This is probably 10:30 at night. Our neighborhood isn't very active after sundown, so no concerns there. I wish it were a flying video, but I still have yet to find a mount that would fit 2 or more cameras that would fit on a micro, because I'm a micro guy. I have 2 4-inch quads. I probably won't even keep those 2 4-inch quads. Maybe I'll keep one of them, but that one I would keep doesn't mount well. It's a pod, so it doesn't have like a top carbon plate that I could mount to. I understand Gal Kramer has a pretty good setup for testing. I haven't dug through his channel to take a look at it yet, but I did dig through Thingiverse looking for a print. As we walk up the path to the garage, I want to jump to this little section here as I just set it down right there. Well, I don't think I set it down yet, but anyways, this is inside the garage, so much different lighting environment, but you can definitely see the coloration differences between the 2 cameras. It's much more true on the Cat 2, because that backpack, the softball backpack that's right in front of you, it is that pink, and to my eye, that looks like the correct pink. Of course, the red on top of the refrigerator, the cushions for the outside furniture, as well as the teal or blue-green or aqua, whatever have you, that's much more true to life than it is on the Toothless 2 Nano. The Toothless 2 Nano colors are a bit off. So, something else I want to draw your attention to. Now, I don't do a very good job on this light test. Unfortunately, the best part of the light test is where I actually put it directly on the camera, because at that point I had to take my goggles off because I could tell I wasn't missing. But hopefully you get some value out of this. I shot this a couple times, and this was the best of the group. I probably needed to use a piece of cardboard, but I didn't, so not much I could see. I missed right there. The Cat 2, I just completely missed it. And I think I felt that or something, and so I popped my goggles up so I could see. And now I'm kind of just doing that. That's the best part of the test as far as these 2 cameras go, so you can grade them out. We're, of course, going to scan. You can see that it's quite windy out, and we have a lot of leaves. Now, in this section, it's tough because I think the coloration still holds true that the Cat 2 is more natural. It's more what I see when I go outside my environment versus the Toothless 2 Nano is a little bit off. Also notice how much wider the garage door that we looked at there. You may want to go back and look at that. The Toothless 2 Nano was much wider looking than the Cat 2. I think the Cat 2 again was much more true to what the shape that I drive through every day or whenever I leave the house and come back to. So the field of view, and there may be some lens distortion there. Of course, I don't find that with the Nano cameras I have any problems with the lens distortion. Some people are more sensitive to those things than others. Oh, I should have drawn your attention to the difference in the font. I was a little bit surprised by that on the cameras, that they each have a different font. So that's a little bit curious. I would think one company would use one font, but we have 2 different ones, and even in that case, I do prefer the font on the Cat 2. I wish the Cat 2 would be nano size. This is a section I did want to pause here as we sit down on top of the little brick footing. So we have the coloration difference between the brick. That's pretty apparent. We've also got a good setup here for the field of view, so you can see just how much wider the field of view is on the Toothless 2 Nano. And then we have the color of the sky in the background. That's also quite a big difference. And if you take a look at the garages at my neighbor's house over there, also notice the structure of the garage door openings and how they're shaped a little bit different. See how they're taller on the Cat 2 and wider on the Toothless 2. So things to notice, things to look at. pause them every now and again as I draw my eye towards something that is a detail that I notice. I'm sure there's things that you've noticed, and pause the video as we've gone through it. You may want to even slow the video down. You know, the little gear icon YouTube provides in the little player, you can slow it down to various speeds. I can't remember how much slower you can make it, but it does have that ability to where you can really start to pause the video. I think my frame-by-frame recordings of having them synced up is pretty close. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. Sometimes I think it's right on spot, and then 30 seconds later it's way off or something. So I went through this a few times, and I do a sync clap like they do in the movies, to where I just put myself in front of the camera, I do the little clap, and that's how I decide where to cut. When my hands come together, that's where I make the cut and I sync them up. If anybody was curious about that. Maybe no one's curious, and I'm just filling dead air, which is kind of part of the narration anyways. We've kind of marched all over the yard and taken a look at various things throughout the neighborhood. We got to stare at the sun a little bit. We got all that nighttime footage. Hopefully, you've been able to take in everything you wanted to take in order to be able to grade the cameras out and decide which is best for you. Although I think because they are two dramatically different sized cameras, you might be just looking at the cameras and going, do I want them both? You know, maybe I have a larger quad that I put the Cat 2 in. Maybe the Toothless 2 Nano goes into more of a micro. Maybe you're thinking about your micro and going, boy, I really like the image of the Cat 2. Maybe I want to try to figure out a way to squeeze that, or I want to get a micro and put a Cat 2 in it, what have you. Anything that, you know, if this video can be helpful, that's why I make videos, to make at least to be helpful and entertaining, I guess, is one of the other objectives I have when I make videos, is to not bore you to death or make you sad. I kind of feel like this last video I did with the VizWhoop was a very depressing video. I don't like to do those sorts of videos, but I just didn't feel that product was very good. That's the end of our footage. And now is where you can tell me what you think of these cameras. Go down in that comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of how I do things. I'm always curious. We can always make improvements. I'm one of those people that when I do my staff's evaluations, no one gets a perfect score, because I always think we can improve. Regardless of how great we might be at our jobs and at life, we can always improve. And I believe in that wholeheartedly. And I would like to improve the videos that I make on this channel. Even though it's just a hobby, I would still like to make them better. And let me know on cameras and camera reviews how I do them. I know there's unlimited ways that I could possibly test these things, but let's be reasonable. This is a hobby. I'm not going to spend 25 hours doing camera testing. As something reasonable, just tell me what you are looking for in a camera. Is this sufficient? Are you looking for something different? Would you like to see something else staged? I'm open, and if we have a consensus within the comment section, I'll try to work it in. And if you haven't already, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in that comment section below. I appreciate your time. Hope everybody's doing well out there and staying safe, and thanks for watching.